What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're out here on beautiful Lake Guntersville, and boys, it is cold, but that trap bite is firing up. Let's talk about it. So guys, I made a video on traps about a month or two ago, and I really wanted to revisit it and get more in depth with it for you guys, so that you can better understand where to find these fish, how to look for them on your graph, to find them, and then once you locate them, actually know which trap to throw. And so we're gonna open up the trap box, dive into that juiciness. I love throwing a trap. This is Lake Guntersville. It's full of grass. It's legendary for throwing a trap. Mainly in the wintertime, the springtime, the fall, almost year round, you can catch them on a trap. So I'm gonna overlay some spots and just give you a perspective of what I'm talking about all from my Lake Master chip. And then we're gonna talk about the baits and dive into more in depth to the technique. So this time of year, at least for me, I'm able to find these fish more concentrated in your ditch type areas, around points. There's a ton of islands on this lake, and this is really a pattern that you can run all the way from the lower end of the lake to the upper end. I like the more upper end to mid-lake area for this style of fishing, just because there's more grass. It's healthier for the most part. It's a lot easier to find than down here on the lower end. Today I was down here on the lower end though, just because it's closer to the house. I'm on limited time, so I decided to fish the lower end today. But it's definitely nothing like it is up on the northern end of the lake, at least for the way that I like to fish. But so guys, you can find these fish concentrated in these ditch type areas. There's a ton of humps on this lake, ton of points. You can find these ditches from one end of the lake to the other, and a lot of times what I look for is ditches that run in between two humps or in between a point or any type of irregularity on the contours. This is really going to set up those fish and allow them to group up. And you can also target these ditches that lead up into spawning bays and spawning type areas, and these fish will hold there all winter and they won't move very far, because you know where they're going once the time gets right for them to spawn. And so you can really follow these fish, and this is a great way to approach a tournament. You can really follow those fish from out there in that ditch, that staging area, all the way up to the spawn. So you're on those fish for months. You can catch them pre-spawn out in the ditches, follow them up to the spawn areas, pick up more of your spawn fishing baits, and then once those fish get done spawning, they're going to move right back to those ditches, post-spawn, feed up, just kind of stopping by before the majority of them head out to the ledges and the main river. But guys, these areas really group these fish up because there's not a ton of places to go, especially when the water's down. The current will really position these fish on like the high points of these ditches, and then when there's not as much current, they'll kind of fall back down into the ditches, and they'll lay like flat down in the mud or the grass, whatever's there. So a lot of times you won't pick them up on your forward-facing sonar. But so that covers ditches. Like I said, there's a ton of islands, there's a bunch of points, and I like these smaller concentrated points. As long as it's got good grass on it, this is the type of points I'm going to be looking for. Main lake, back in creeks. I like more of the stuff closer to the main lake or to the middle to the front part of the creeks, at least in the wintertime. As it gets warmer, those fish will tend to migrate farther and farther back into those shallower, more secondary type points, and then onto your spawning bays. But guys, we're nowhere near the spawn. Water temp's 48 degrees. So today I chose the Spro Oroku shad, and this is I don't know exactly what Spro calls it, but Rayburn red, red crawl, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what Spro specifically calls it, but I like this one. This is the 1/2 ounce, I believe. And what I like about this one for this time of year, especially how the water is kind of stained today, Guntersville don't really get that stained all that often because there's so much grass and it filters it out. But I really like the sound of this. It seems to locate it seems to allow the fish to locate the bait better in muddy to stained water conditions. So that's what I went with today. And the red, of course, anytime that the water is stained, or even if it's clear, you can get away with the red a lot of times, just because these fish are liking to key in on these crawfish this time of year. But if the water's super clear and I'm seeing a bunch of bait fish action, the Royal Shad Booyah One Knocker is my go-to. And this bait is great for keying in on fish that are feeding up on bait fish. And I really like this chartreuse belly and the orange nose. This is just a great all-around color. This is 100% my go-to in the fall, but most of the time when the water gets down below 50 degrees, 50 to 55 degrees, I'm gonna blue, that red to my hand unless the water's just super clear. But that's the Booyah One Knocker. And then another color that I like to mix in if the water's clear and I want to stick close to that red color is this, the Sunset Crawl. And it's more of a pinkish type red, but it's also got that chartreuse belly and then the orange nose. A lot of these Booyah One Knockers have that, but these are great baits. And you know, they're a lot harder thud than the Spro Uruku shad. And then the last one that I like to throw, it's got a real similar thud to the Booyah One Knocker, and this is the Azuma trap. And you see, let me pull these up side by side to you. The nose on this bait is super wide as compared to the One Knocker. It's a lot thinner, and the Uruku shad, the Spro Uruku shad's got that thinner nose as well. But this Azuma is really gonna put off a ton more water displacement than the other ones, and it's got that hard thud. And I don't know, I might just be overthinking it, but the way that I choose these baits really seems to be effective for me. You know, the Uruku shad, more in the stained water, that more rattling noise, it seems like they pick it up. But this Azuma shad also has that hard thump, that very wide nose to create a ton of water displacement. Very erratic bait. Booyah One Knocker. They're all very similar, but I definitely think that the way that I choose these makes a difference. It might just be a difference in getting 1 or 2 bites, but in a tournament, 1 or 2 bites can be a world of difference. So that's why I do this. But guys, techniques this time of year, the way I like to fish these, you know, water temps 48, 49 today. You're not gonna want to rip this bait super hard, at least not all the time, but every single day is gonna be different. I can't stress this enough. If you go out and catch them doing a subtle like feathering style action one day, and then the next day you go out there and you're not getting bites, switch it up. Maybe they want it more aggressive, maybe they want it more finesse-y style. But guys, so how I caught them today was I would throw it out there and kind of give it one big pop. And so what that is doing is you can watch your bait move on the Mega Live, but that bait is gonna dart up and then it's gonna slowly fall down. Dart up and then slowly fall down. And when these fish, when this water is so cold, these fish are a little bit more hesitant, and you've got to really like trigger them. Make them want to eat it. And I think this initially gets the fish's attention whenever the bait pops up, because it's rattling, it's displacing all that water, and it initially draws the fish in, and then that slow feathering action, because the water temp's cold. A largemouth is lazy. It's not going to want to work super hard for its meal. So like we said, we draw it in, fish comes up. As it falls down, the fish is like, hey, easy meal. Boom, smashes it. There he is. Right down this little ditch. Pretty good one. Right where I thought he'd be. He's bleeding. We're gonna get him back in the water. About 80 to 90% of the time, that's how I'm gonna catch my fish, fishing the ditches and stuff, just because it's a little bit deeper water. It allows that bait to pop up, drop down, reach every depth of the water column, whether that fish is hooked up on the bottom or suspended. You know, it really gives that fish a chance to eat it, and because you don't know the exact behavior of that fish. Every fish is different. Some might want it on the bottom, some might want to be looking up to feed on it. So that's why I think that's the most effective way, and it proved to be today. Another way that's similar to that but a little bit more aggressive is I will take the rod and sweep it and not let the bait fall as much. This is what I'm going to be doing if I'm in thicker grass or you know, a little bit shallower water. I'm just going to give it one pop and then start to reel, one pop and then start to reel. So with all of these sequences, I want to have the bait on the bottom before I pop, whether it's the feathering up or the popping to the side. I want to be running that bait across the bottom or right on top of the grass. So this one's a little bit more aggressive. than the feathering style, but the other one is the most aggressive, and I'm gonna be doing this more if it's like a warming trend. These fish are getting more active, moving up more to the staging, getting super pre-spawn, and that's gonna be where I just pop the absolute crap out of it. Really, I do 2 hard pops. I'll take my rod tip up, do boom, boom, and I don't give it a lot of time to fall. Boom, boom, and you can use a heavier trap doing this, like a 5/8, 3/4, to maintain that depth that you're wanting to run on the grass. But if I had to pick one sequence that I'm gonna do, it's the first one that we talked about, that light feather, where I just pop it up, let it fall, hit bottom, pop it up, let it fall, hit bottom.
There he is.
He's swimming right at me. Oh gosh. He barely got it. Huh? He's barely got it. Let's freaking go. Oh man. So you're probably wondering, you know, like, what grass do you find? And this time of year, if you can find that lime green, that very super like glowing green type grass, that's what you're want to look for, because that's the healthiest grass. Milfoil, hydrilla, eelgrass, it's all good, but it's really hard to find that super bright green grass this time of year, just because it's so cold, everything's dying off, currents ripping through the river, sweeping up a lot of this grass and moving it, and so it's hard to find that. But really, milfoil, hydrilla, eelgrass, it is all going to be productive. But you can find this grass on any of these, pretty much every high spot on the lake, point, island is going to have grass on it, and you might pick 10 islands, go run them and check, and you might catch a fish off 2 out of 10 islands, just because a lot of this grass is going to be dead, and for the most part these fish aren't going to relate to the dead grass, just because it's not giving them what they need. It's not sustaining the life of I guess the phytoplankton, and then the shad, which feed on that, and then the bass, you know, the overall food chain. It's not producing oxygen, it's dead. It's just really not a good place for any species of fish to live. So definitely look for that healthy growing grass. But guys, this is how I like to approach fishing a trap in the grass on Lake Guntersville this time of year. And I hope that you learned something. I hope you took away something from this video, guys. Do me a favor, drop your favorite lipless crank down in the comments. Let me know why you like it, and if you got any advice to me. You know, I'm not an expert at this. I'm just giving you my 2 cents, how I catch fish, hoping that it'll help you catch some fish in the future, guys. So make sure to smash the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.